What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dorm Debate podcast. Today, we have all the boys on hand to talk about 3 segments that we got going on. So we don't want to waste any of your time. So let's get right into our first topic that we have. About 2 weeks ago, the NFL Power Rankings came out on ESPN, CBS, Fox, whatever. We used ESPN for our power rankings, and I told the guys to just kind of pick 2 or 3 things that surprised them or just thought, people were overranked or, undervalued.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, I'm a Chargers fan, and they listed the Chargers 24th. I don't know if anyone's caught that.
That was one of my 2 surprises. I can't believe that they're that low.
Yeah, I honestly could argue that they have one of the top 5 most talented rosters on paper, for sure.
Especially defense.
Especially defense. So I listed if I understood that the quarterback is a question mark, but between Tyrod and Justin Herbert, that doesn't seem like it's kind of like you can't really go wrong with a talented offense that they have.
Yeah.
So I said
the quarterback drives a lot of the offense, so it's very important that they get somebody.
True.
Yeah, but
true.
wasn't Rivers the problem?
What?
Wasn't Rivers the problem? So now that he's gone, they should be ranked even higher.
In my opinion, I think we have a higher ceiling without Rivers than putting in Tyrod, even Herbert as a rookie. I think there's a higher ceiling for us. So I don't think
the offense was a problem. I think it was more of the defense. It's simple. You guys couldn't stop Patrick Mahomes.
Nobody can.
So we addressed that in free agency. We got Chris Harris Jr., one of the top cornerbacks in the league.
And that's fine. I just think that Philip Rivers wasn't the weak point on the team, and he got traded away. I mean, he is old, but still, he was decent. I think Justin Herbert doesn't have experience. Tyrod Taylor. I would pick Philip Rivers over Tyrod Taylor.
He's got playoff experience. I mean, he led the Bills to a playoff wildcard game. So he's got the experience, and this roster is extremely more talented than the Bills back then.
True.
So, and they addressed some O-line in free agency. So I really didn't understand 24th. I could understand maybe, below, top 15, because, I mean, you could make an argument that the quarterback is the main issue, but 24th? I mean, the Jets were the next team. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous.
It goes Dolphins, Jets, Panthers, then Giants.
I'm like, what?
But they should be higher.
Yeah.
In ESPN's defense, this was from March 30th. I think they're ranking. I think for the viewers who might not know the link, I'll read the top 10 maybe. That gives some background. All right.
Yeah.
According to this ESPN article, number 1 power ranking, way too early ranking all these, is number 1 Kansas City Chiefs, 2 Baltimore Ravens, 3 San Francisco 49ers, 4 New Orleans Saints, 5 Green Bay Packers, 6 Seattle Seahawks, 7 Tennessee Titans, 8 Minnesota Vikings, 9 Buffalo Bills, and 10 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I'll go 11 and 12 because I'm 13. We're going to 11 is Dallas Cowboys. 12 is the Philadelphia Eagles. So immediately, this can't be trusted. The Eagles should always be higher.
Can't be trusted.
And then 13 is the Patriots. So it's interesting. And I'm not going to read through all of them. That's an interesting top, 13 at least. I don't know. I question a little bit with the Bucks, and I mentioned this. I'm sure we'll talk about it more later. But I compare Bucks almost. I mean, Brady being there is a totally different equation, but it feels a little bit like what the Browns were supposed to be. Before it didn't turn out. A lot of hype, a lot of potential. So when it actually rubber meets the road, who knows? That's the only one I would be like, maybe you gotta give. You're ranking it pretty high based on expectation to put a number 10. No. That's just me. I don't know if anyone has a different opinion.
Yeah. So for me, a few things that I saw. Number 1, when I first saw this list, I almost cried. It was like a stabbing sign. How could you rank the Cowboys as number 11? Okay, we have CD Lamb now, plus Zeke, plus Dak.
No.
Where's your
Come on,
defense?
Our defense, okay, our defense could improve, but that still doesn't put us as number 11 because our offense kind of overpowers how bad our defense has been playing. I think we're a top 5 team. They should have put us in the top 5.
What?
So that really shocked me that they put us at number 11 behind the Vikings. The Bills. The Bills are number 9. There's something wrong with this.
They're definitely better than the Cowboys.
The Bills are better than the Cowboys?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You're saying their quarterback. You're saying their quarterback. I forgot his name.
Josh
Allen.
Josh Allen. You think it's better than Dak?
Oh
Come
yeah.
on. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know who made this list. This is crazy. This is absurd. All right, I'll give them this. Their defense is probably a little better than ours, but to put the entire team above the Dallas Cowboys, Dak, Zeke, CD Lamb, I don't think so. Amari Cooper, no. There's something wrong with this.
The only way I could see the Bills, the Bills Cowboys, I agree that I think the Cowboys might be a little bitter. The only reason I could see them being number 9 compared to the Cowboys 11 is that the Bills, now that Brady's gone, who knows who the Patriots are. So if their division's a little easier, then maybe they do go deeper just because of that. But yeah, some questions in this lineup here.
That is true. I will say this though. I think they got the Kansas City Chiefs right.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, guys,
I think
Kansas City Chiefs could win back-to-back.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but they could win back-to-back. I mean, Mahomes is unstoppable. Nobody has an answer to Patrick Mahomes yet. I mean, we'll see how they do in the division, but I think they could win back-to-back. Also, given that Brady's not on the Patriots anymore, so they don't really have that sort of rival championship. Or I mean, Chiefs to win.
Chiefs, yeah. Yeah, I think number 1 Chiefs is pretty clear. I'm not saying they're gonna go back to back, but it's hard to argue there's any team that's proven to be better, especially because they're coming off a Super Bowl win. So, not much argument there.
Yeah. One surprising thing to me was that they put the Ravens at number 2. I don't know how anybody could think they're the second best team in the NFL. Like,
I agree.
I can't believe all these analysts don't know how bad Lamar is. They still think he's like the greatest thing. They still don't realize that he can't throw, and he did everything through running. Like, I don't know, how could you think that they're the second best team? He can't. He really can't throw that well.
Yeah, talking about individuals, yeah, Lamar is not that good. He can't throw that well. But the team he's on fits him perfectly. The system that they're in, their defense is really good, and they're like a run-first type offense. So with the 3 good running backs they have, and Lamar Jackson also being the dual threat guy he is, I think that's a fair ranking, to be honest. The team is dangerous that way. But Lamar himself, individual, I wouldn't select him as a quarterback for my own team that would start. But I think the team as a whole is pretty good. So I think that's a fair ranking.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the only team that could compete with Kansas City. I feel like last year and the year before, this is starting to be like a top-tier rivalry that could go on for however long Mahomes' career and Jackson's career is going to go on for, like maybe 10, 11 years. This could be like the same battle in the AFC Championship. But the Ravens are unproven in the playoffs. They've lost both their opening games. So
such a disappointment last year.
Yeah, it's kind of like James Harden in the playoffs. Like, Lamar really doesn't show up in the playoffs at all. Last 2 years, he hasn't proven anything.
That's why I hesitate with the number 2 ranking as well. I don't mean to interrupt you if you finish your thought. I was the same thing. I think Lamar is a good quarterback. I'm not gonna dog him, but this, in hindsight of the playoff, what you're saying, Jared, it's like, I think just 2 is too high. I think there's other teams that you could get. Maybe the San Francisco Saints. There's just other people that could be. I think second is a little too much of the hype of last year. You got to consider the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, one of the other teams I had was the 49ers. I thought they were extremely, extremely, extremely too high. Extremely.
No. I
don't think
I agree that they shouldn't be number 3. They should be like number 2.
Oh, come on. So let me list something out, and then we can talk about it. Their number 1 receiver is Debo Samuel from South Carolina.
What's wrong with that?
He's inconsistent. He was a rookie. Now he's going to be in his sophomore year. Your number 1 receiver is Debo.
But they didn't have Sanders all of last year. They were already like 8-2 when they got Sanders.
They lost Sanders and they lost Goodwin and they lost their left tackle Joe Stanley.
You still got Kittle. Though.
They still have Kittle. Kittle is an absolute beast. Did you know?
Yeah, I like him.
Crazy stat. He's only getting paid like $800,000. He's still on his rookie contract. Like best tight end in the game is
what?
Still, yeah, he's
like
still on his rookie contract.
That's like what you give your Madden player to like lowball them. When they're like 99 overall when you don't want to pay them, but you force them to take the deal. That's like Kittle's getting paid in real life. That's a steal. My goodness.
One of our Madden series, we paid Kyler $0. We moved this thing all the way down.
We were living on the street. He was living on the streets, and we're like, sorry, you could find a cardboard box to live in.
Wait, that's the best we could do.
That's what Kittle's – I mean, Kittle's good. Yeah. You're saying?
Yeah. So their offense is unproven. Garoppolo has yet to prove that he can carry the team. And he's going to have to if your number 1 receiver is Debo. You're going to have – Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have to do what Tom Brady did like during the 2 years ago when they beat the Rams. You don't really have a lot of receivers, so he's going to have to do majority of the work. So it's going to be way different from last year to this year for Garoppolo. And I just don't believe that defense wins championships anymore. They have a great defense, and I'll give you that. Like, they have a phenomenal defense. But if you look at the past years, the number 1 defense has not won the championship or the number 2 or 3. They don't win anymore. The saying is dead. It's all offense. Kansas City Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens, they are high-octane speed offense. Throw it over your head, 50 yards of Tyreek Hill. Like, that's the new offense. And the 49ers offense is the total opposite of that. It's very slow, and I don't like anything that's coming together. I told you guys I like the Arizona Cardinals more. I like their offense a lot more.
Number 3 or just in general?
Oh, not number 3. No.
Oh, I was like, that's a little audacious.
I have them winning the NFC West. Yeah, I have them winning the NFC West over the 49ers, but I think a significant drop from the 49ers this year. Significant. Like they're going to be 500. I'm telling you they're going to be 500.
No.
I like the Cardinals way better. So
Kyle Shanahan is a good coach. He's going to figure it out.
Definitely.
I think you have a point with the Cardinals over the 49ers. Were the 49ers in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
They were, and they lost.
Fair point. I think you have a good point. I don't know if I wouldn't put them at 3, but I agree with what you're saying that it feels like the NFL is changing. Now, who knows what it's going to be like when it finally does get around. But I was reading an article, I forget what they called it, but it was something like super offenses, where now they stack offensive with star talent and star players. Because I think in the past it was like all passing game, run game, well-rounded defense, and now it's just leaning so offensive that those teams with a lot of big names who are really good, like the Chiefs, you might look at the Ravens, other positions, that might be the new style. So I would say defense still, you can't discount it. I think it's still too big of a factor to I think 49ers having that good of a defense keeps them at 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have a decent defense. It can't be trash, which the Cardinals' defense last year was absolute trash. So, but they addressed it, so I give them that. But like as you're saying, this is like the new age offense. Kyler Murray is the exact type of quarterback that you want in this new league. He can run and he can throw deep. And Cliff Kingsbury is probably going to run spread with him and RPO. And I don't know what you have to say about Jarrett Stidham, Jonathan, but I think Belichick might run more RPO, run more spread. So it's starting to work its way into the league again. And I think the Cardinals have a great offense to execute the spread and RPO. So let's get on to the next one because we're at like 12 minutes. So did anyone else want to hit any other teams?
I mean, this is the last thing I'll say, but I think it will kind of, segue into another section.
Mm-hmm.
But the Patriots were ranked number 13 on here. That's not accurate at all. I think a lot of people are underestimating the power of a great coach, a legendary coach. You actually think Bill Belichick will sit there and, not make moves, given that he lost in the first round of the playoffs last year and he's not used to doing that? No. They're not going to be 13. They're gonna do far better. I still believe they're a top 5 team, even though Brady went to Tampa Bay, because the NFL is different from basketball in that a coach can, has a greater impact on the game. A coach can kind of change the game if they're really good. If they're average, it kind of depends. But if they're really good, they can make an impact on the game. And I think that's Bill Belichick. He'll find a way to win, like Jared was saying, whether it be RPOs or other certain type of plays. He'll find a way to allow Stidham to be comfortable and allow the team to mesh together. So I think the Pats are underranked big time.
Let me ask you something. From last year, do you think they got better from last year when they lost to the Titans? I mean, they had Brady and they still lost in the first round. And they didn't make any big free agency moves at all.
Yeah, well, with Brady, remember he was old, and that started to limit like a lot of the stuff they could do as a team in terms of their offense, right? So you can't run RPOs with Tom Brady; he's too slow. He's just a pocket passer, straight pocket passer, and he was successful, throughout his career. But like you said, the league's evolving, defenses are getting better. So you need multiple options on offense, and Brady didn't have that. So teams started to catch on to that. Like last year, you saw it. So I think Stidham, him being young, it gives Belichick more variability in terms of what he can do with the offense. So I think the offense will be better this year.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see Belichick and Brady part. How they each do individually is going to define a big part of their legacy down the line, I think.
Mm-hmm. So let's go to the quarterbacks under 25 years old, since we'll segue into Jarrett Stidham and the Patriots. So I asked everyone to pick a quarterback that is under 25 years old that they think will have the best career going forward. We excluded the GOAT, Pat Mahomes, because it's just unfair and he's godlike and it would be the obvious choice. So since we were talking about the Patriots, Jonathan, you want to start this one off?
Yeah, sure. So I picked Jarrett Stidham as that quarterback I think that's under 25 and will have a successful career. Just given that he's starting his career under Bill Belichick. And Bill Belichick, like I said, is a mastermind. You learn a lot from a good coach as a quarterback. Tom Brady did it. His first season, it wasn't that great. But after that first season, after he, kind of got developed in the NFL and learned the game a little bit better, he started to have exceptional seasons. So I think that's similar type of story will happen with Jarrett Stidham. And also, if you look at the backup quarterbacks, Garoppolo, he led the 49ers Super Bowl last year, right? He was under Bill Belichick for a while. And you look at Hoyer, the time he was there, he did okay. So I think developing a young quarterback like Stidham that's already smart, that's already run complex offenses in college and high school, I think he's going to be successful under Bill Belichick. And let me note something. A lot of people are hesitant about Stidham because he came in last year during the Jets game, and Patriots were winning like 30-7. Okay, it was like fourth quarter, so they put Stidham in. But the thing about that is they put their backup quarterback in, right? Which means they put second-team receivers, second-team linemen. And what do you expect to happen? If you play with the second-team players who are less good than the actual starters, then you're not going to perform the best you can perform. Okay,
But he threw a pick six.
He threw a pick six. Yeah, exactly. Well, if you have a bad lineman, second-team lineman, and you have the opposing defense coming to get you, then yeah, I mean you're going to be hesitant, and this is your first year. Big NFL lineman coming at you. Your lineman sucks. You know it. Yeah, it's easy to throw an interception. Okay. So, it was fourth quarter. I don't think you can really judge him off of that. Now, if you look back at college, if I tell you some numbers of his, I mean, it would drive you crazy, all of you. His ratings, okay, when he was in Auburn his first year in 2017, 151 quarterback passer rating, okay?
That's college. Everybody has a high passer rating.
2018, 137. Hey, dude. And then 2015, he was at Baylor actually for a year. Baylor, 199. Okay.
Oh, so Guys, he got worse. He got worse throughout the years.
No, well, he went into a more difficult division because he started in the Big 12, then he went to the SEC. Yeah. But he still managed to put up pretty good numbers. Okay, those are impressive. He only threw 5 interceptions. What was that?
Did he ever beat Alabama?
I don't think he beat Alabama. I think the games were always pretty close because Auburn and Alabama are obviously rivals. But 2017 he threw 6 interceptions. 2018 he threw 5. Okay, then he threw like 18 touchdowns each of those years. So this guy,
18?
18 touchdowns? Each of them. 18 in 2017, 18 in 2018. That's it. But look at the passing yards. Passing yards for 2017, 3,158. 2018, 2,794. Okay, so this guy has proven that he can lead a team to do fairly well, and he played in the hardest division, like I said, against Alabama, against all those SEC guys. If he can be pretty successful there, and again, he worked under Gus Malzahn. See, he's a lucky guy. He's had great coaches under him. Gus Malzahn, he's a great offensive mind. Now he gets to be with Bill Belichick. I'm telling you, this guy is a second coming. I'm telling you, he's going to be really good. And, a lot of people are underestimating him, but I have faith in him. I have faith that Bill Belichick will get him ready and will have him ready for the next couple years. Still, I think Stidham is one of the most underrated players, and, I think you guys will see that.
You think this guy is like, he's going to be the starter for 10 years?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. He could be even longer.
Come on.
I don't know if Bill Belichick will stay that long, but I know Bill Belichick will get him prepared for his career. And when Bill Belichick leaves, I still think Stidham will be pretty good, such as like Tom Brady. Tom Brady, I still think will be fairly good on Tampa Bay. But again, Bill Belichick is the key right here. He's the key to the castle. He's the key to the castle.
So, do you think he'll be good next year, like this coming season?
I think he'll be pretty good, but I think he'll be exceptionally good in the next few years. But I think he still will. They'll win the division.
So it'll take time.
They'll beat the Bills, huh?
Well, I think Bill's got that.
Do you think Stidham will win a Super Bowl within the next 5 years?
Within the next 5 years? Well, remember, there's Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, he has some good going on, okay? But within the next 5 years, I think it's possible he could go to the Super Bowl. You know what? I don't know about Super Bowl. I'll say I think it's going to be very possible that they go to the AFC Championship multiple times. It's going to be always them and the Chiefs going at each other.
Wait a minute. So
maybe
if you had to,
in there.
So if you had to pick from the AFC East, from the quarterback perspective, Sam Darnold with the Jets, Josh Allen with the Bills, Stidham with the Patriots, and then Tua from the Dolphins. You think out of all those quarterbacks, Jarrett Stidham will be like the front runner in like 5 years?
Of course he will, because he's been groomed the best, and he's even gonna get even more coaching with Bill Belichick. He's been groomed the best. Gus Malzahn, guys, he's known for his offense. It's exceptional to watch him play. and he played under him for like a couple years. If you're able to start under Gus Malzahn, then you're really good, okay? He's a crazy offensive mind. He's one of those crazy offensive players. Tua, he had great players around him. I don't want to hear anything about Tua. He had great players around him, great receivers, great run backs, great everything. He's not going to have that in the NFL, especially on the Dolphins. Sam Darnold. Okay. Sam Darnold, USC, they're great. They're a great college name, great football name, but at the end of the day, their college coach, I don't even know who it is. Like, they've changed it the past few years. They're not known for an exceptional offense always, you know. He started on a great big team, but I don't think their coaches, like, they've changed him. I don't think they're that prestige enough to have him do good in the next couple years. I think the coach he has now in the NFL is not good. So he would have to take some of that stuff he learned in college, which I don't think he had that type of prestige college coach. What was that?
What about Josh Allen, the Bills quarterback?
Josh Allen.
He's
Josh
the best
Allen from
quarterback
Wyoming.
He's the best quarterback in the division.
Look, I respect NFL teams getting quarterbacks that weren't in the big time college football programs, but at the end of the day, if you think about it, would Josh Allen do good if he played against Alabama with a LSU team or something? I don't think so, guys. Would he start at LSU? Would he start at Alabama? Would he start at Auburn?
Would Tony Romo start at Alabama?
He hasn't really got the spotlight yet. He hasn't faced the big time players yet. He is not ready to lead a franchise, and they're gonna find that out soon. He had a lucky season last year, okay, but he's gonna get exposed. He's not that good.
Yes,
he's not that good. He's not a legendary quarterback. He's never gonna win a Super Bowl. You can write that down, unless he goes to obviously like Patriots or something. But as long as he's on the Bills, he's not gonna lead that franchise to a Super Bowl. And he's not on this year. He's not gonna lead him to a division win. I think Patriots are going to win the division.
The same way you feel about Josh Allen, that's how I feel about Dak.
No, Dak's from Mississippi. Hey, Dak played in the SEC. He played against smart teams. This guy's from Wyoming, and they're putting their heart and soul in this guy. I don't get it. I mean, I respect that. Carson Wentz. I respect that Carson Wentz from North Dakota State, even though like they're a super powered Division II school. Still, he came from there. Okay, but Wyoming. Nobody's really heard of that football program. I mean, come on. This guy wouldn't even start at Alabama. He wouldn't start at LSU. I mean,
don't disrespect our Wyoming fans here.
Yeah. So high hopes for Stidham. High hopes.
Yeah, high hopes.
Yeah.
You think okay.
John, you want to say your quarterback?
Sure. So my quarterback that I think will have the best career that is under 25 right now is Kyler Murray. He's dual threat. He just got DeAndre Hopkins. He has Larry Fitzgerald. He's got Christian Kirk. I think they got a tight end or something. I don't know. They have Drake in the backfield. They just got an offensive lineman. Their defense is coming together.
Oh.
I think they're on the rise. The Cardinals. I don't know about next year, like Jared says, but
you just listed all that. That sounds so good.
Maybe in 5 years, like 4 to 5 years, they'll be definitely in the playoffs and maybe pushing to the championship game. So I think Murray at the end of it will probably win a Super Bowl, and he'll have some MVP in there. So I think Murray. I mean, he's dual threat. A lot of people say he's small, but this guy can throw. When you watch his highlights, he drops it in the bucket.
Yeah. The team is good, but do you guys think Cliff can lead them to a Super Bowl? Do you guys think he's that good? I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't watch too much of his coaching in college, so I'm not 100% sure, but I think Kyler's really good. So
he coached Mahomes at Texas
he coached
Tech.
Mahomes, Manziel, right?
Yeah, I mean
he's offensive minded, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. He's kind of like Sean McVay and
right.
The Bills coach. I forget his name, but he's kind of like that. Like he's the young coach that can bring a updated offense to the team,
right?
But not proven yet at all. Not even in college, he wasn't proven. So that's the one question mark. Yeah, I really like Kyler. Kyler's dude.
I'm surprised you didn't pick him. You didn't.
I was going to, but I thought Jonathan was going to pick Kyler because he's been talking about Kyler since he got he transferred to Oklahoma. And since that point, he has nonstop talked about him. He's undefeated in high school. This guy hasn't lost a single game. Texas high school, man. That was Jonathan all Park Point. He was just hyping up Kyler, and then Kyler ended up going all the way to the playoffs. So I was like, I guess he's good. I guess he's really good. So, Caleb, who's your quarterback?
I went with a little more risky one, but just to stir the pot a little bit. My quarterback under 25, who I think will have the longest career, emphasis on career, I picked Joe Burrow. It's hard to justify. I think he's a great player. It's hard to justify when he hasn't played in the NFL yet, obviously. So that I give to critics who might disagree. Because it's weird because I don't discount college metrics, but it's also like in the grand scheme of the NFL, what you did in college doesn't always reflect to your success in the NFL. And what I will say is like the essence of what he is as a quarterback. I think he's a chill guy. I like his demeanor on and off the field. So I think he's a good leader, has that personality, kind of intangible, talented passer, good accurate passer as well, good footwork. So I think with those elements, he has the potential to be a good quarterback. Not guaranteeing it, but I think if you hold on to what made him great in college, it'll transfer to the NFL. My only hesitation and why I put the emphasis on career is I don't know if he can have a great career long term with the Bengals of old, as we've known Cincinnati, because so much of what makes a dynasty and a team good is like the front office, the business part, as well as the combination with the coach and all that. And in years past, I think they've tried to build something, but sometimes there's been questionable decisions. So if they get that in check, then yeah, maybe he could do it with the Bengals. If in 4 years it doesn't pan out with the Bengals and they don't change around him, build the offense around him, then I could see him, if it's as expected, going to another team 4 years, 5 years down the line, and maybe then starting a new career that rivals any of the new ones under 25 right now. Pretty accurate under pressure as well. So statistically, I give some credence to the college things, but if that reflects in the NFL, I think what happened was going to matter the most is what's put around him. And he has some good receivers on the Bengals for sure, and some good talent. Good drafted some other, getting help in some ways. But we'll have to see how the Bengals as an organization supports him if he's their number one guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Burrow is probably the best quarterback I think I've ever seen. In the playoffs against Oklahoma last year, technically it would be this year. I think he threw 8 touchdowns, like 8 or 9 touchdowns. And I was watching, and I felt like every time I looked, he was throwing another touchdown. And he had great receivers, I'll give him that. But this guy can get into a zone kind of like Tom Brady, where he looks like he's gonna murder somebody. Like he gets into that type of zone, and I like that about him. I like how you can get in the zone. He can focus well. He's a great leader. I really like that pick a lot. So.
I'm glad you brought up Brady because I was going to mention, I forgot until you reminded me. I think the play style that reminds me the most is Brady's style. I'm not saying he's going to be as good or whatever, but the fact that he's like, potential to move, but pocket passer. And I think his style is Brady of old, where he's more mature in his understanding of the game, where it's getting first down after first down, worrying the team. I think Burrow can do that in the NFL because statistically, he set records in college.
Oh yeah.
And part of that's college stats are a little skewed because of the way the game's played. It's so pass heavy that you're going to see numbers that are crazy for the NFL. But you being said, I think I could see him being how we know Brady now, as Brady in a later career. If Burrow starts off with that strong mix of just getting first down after first down, 10-yard pops, as well as the ability to throw it deep because he's young enough to do that, I think it could be a dangerous if they treat him right.
Okay.
I think
mine.
That's really good.
Oh, you just want to say something?
Yeah. I said I think that's really good. I do tend to worry about the quarterbacks that won the ultimate championship, the BCS championship, right? Because I feel like in college they did have a lot of great pieces around them,
right?
But I still think Burrow is really good, and I agree with Caleb, it will depend on how the organization supports him whether it be the right coach fit, whether it be, you know, the right receiving pieces. I mean, I know they have AJ Green, but, you know, I hope that they can give them the right pieces to be successful at this level, because it's not the same as college, right? So.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, they got to give him the pieces to succeed. Mine is Drew Lock from the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, you have to
I lo-
explain this.
I love this guy, dude. He has got the swag. He's a leader. Like, he's just a straight baller, like straight baller. He's got John Elway right by his side in the front office. Perfect. That is perfect. The draft. Oh my God, they had a phenomenal, perfect executed draft. They're like, all right, Drew Lock. He won 4 of his last 5 games. We're gonna roll with Drew Lock. So they draft Jerry Jeudy from Alabama, one of the best wide receivers in the game. Then they get KJ Hamler, a speedster deep threat from Penn State, put him on the other end. They already had Cordell Sutton, who went to the Pro Bowl. They have Philip Lindsay behind him, so he doesn't have to carry the team too much. You know, he can hand
And
it
Melvin
off.
Gordon.
And Melvin sucks. He can go shove it. Do you hear what he said about the Chargers?
What?
No, what?
Someone asked Melvin Gordon. He's like, someone asked him. They were like, "How do you feel about playing games without any fans?" And he goes, "Oh, we already do that over at the Chargers."
Oh,
Oh, what a
the
savage.
disrespect.
So I hope he sits on the bench. So I said swagger, big arm, can extend the play. I was watching a podcast with Von Miller, and he was saying he liked Drew Lock right off the bat. And one of the things he liked was that the rookies, when they get there, usually the rookies have like their own little group and they, you know, hang out together throughout the season. And Von Miller was like, right off the bat, Drew Lock, you could tell, was already the leader of that group. So he said, he's like, next year it's going to be dangerous because he's going to be the whole team's leader. And Von Miller is all in on him 100%. So he told the people on the podcast that he's the future, and he believes that right off the bat.
Wow.
So he said even
Okay.
his incompletions look good. So that means he's got a cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my only worry with him is if he can carry the team. If, you know, Lindsey isn't running well, can they rely on him in clutch times to execute and play well in the fourth quarter? So that's my only concern. But I love the situation he's in more than anything. That situation, if they can keep giving him talent and keep those guys around him, it would be hard for him not to succeed. So, yeah, that's my reasoning.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know what Elway is going to do with the quarterback position. I mean, he's a quarterback himself, so I'm sure he has a plan, but I mean, they drafted Drew Lock. I didn't think he was the franchise guy, but maybe he is.
Yeah, I
mean,
wish they didn't get Joe Flacco because I would like to see Drew Lock play a full season.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good. I was actually going to ask that. So they have a more experienced quarterback in the quarterback room, which is good. That's what
No,
Drew
he
Lock
left.
needs.
He's
Oh,
gone.
he left? Then who do
Yeah.
they have?
He went
Do
to
they have
the
anybody?
Jets. They have I'm not actually sure. I think it's just him. They're really all
that's
in.
going to be a tough situation. It's going to be
Okay.
tough.
A lot on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Let's move on. I'm going to look up who their quarterback is, but we'll move on to the next topic here. I asked you guys, out of all the quarterbacks that were changing teams this season, which one would have the most success? I gave you a couple. I think I said, you know, Teddy Bridgewater, Nick Foles, Phillip Rivers, Tom Brady, Marcus Mariota, whatever. Pick one of those and tell me if you think they will have the best success over all of them. So we'll start with John, since it's getting close to 5. We'll start with you so you can get your thoughts in.
All right. So my QB that I think will have the most success with their new team is Phillip Rivers. This one's easy for me. Rivers, I know he's getting old, but I don't think his time is up. And the Colts have a bunch of pieces ready, and they're ready to win now, which is why they didn't draft a young quarterback. They had Brissett, but now they put Rivers in, which is an upgrade. And, I mean, this guy, he's a good leader. He's competitive. They get T.Y. Hilton back. They have the best offensive line in football. They get Jonathan Taylor, who I don't think is going to start, but he'll share time, and he's good. And then they get, they have a really good defense too. So I think they're definitely going to win the division, and I could see them winning a playoff game this year too. So I think in his first year winning a playoff game with a team, I think that would be great for Rivers. And I think he's going to spend 2 or 3 years there, and he could get to the AFC Championship game.
2 or 3?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. Jonathan and I think we're thinking the same thing. I think this is a 1-year thing.
Yeah.
So what do you – but all right, let's say it's a 1-year thing. Let's say they go to the playoffs and they lose the first playoff game. You think they're going to, trade up to draft a quarterback in their draft? Or what are they going to do with him? He's not going to do bad. They're not going to go
he's not going to do bad.
Go 2-10 or whatever.
It's just there's a ceiling with him. So at max, you're going to make the playoffs, but you're not gonna win a playoff game, let alone win 2 or 3 and go to the Super Bowl. There's just a cap. So for 2 to 3 years, to have a cap of 1 win in the playoffs is strange to me.
Yeah, but then why would they get Rivers at all? Why wouldn't they just try to tank and then draft a quarterback? Why get him to do better if you just want a new quarterback?
Because the team doesn't have to be built on the quarterback. Not every team has to be built on the quarterback. The Colts, they know they have a great running game. They just drafted Jonathan Taylor as well. So I feel that they just need a quarterback that has experience, that doesn't make much mistakes, and that will, keep the offense functioning. But they don't necessarily need a superstar. I think that's
Peyton
sort of what they're
at the end of his career. Like Peyton on the Broncos. Just consistent enough to – yeah, I see that. I mean, it's not impossible. The AFC South's got Texans, Titans, Colts, and Jags. The Texans, Titans, they got some good teams, but the Colts were contenders with Andrew Luck, and then they lost Andrew Luck with, for good reason. But I don't think it's crazy. I think it would be very poetic for Phillip Rivers to get a ring, because I think if his class, he's one of the only quarterback in the process for Drew.
Yeah.
I'm talking of his generation. So it would be kind of poetic to see him get 1 ring. Not saying, I'm not a fan of it, but I could see that happening with the Colts. I don't think it's as crazy an idea. So I agree.
Okay. I can dig it then. Let's go, Jonathan.
Yeah, sure. So I picked Tom Brady out of all those quarterbacks, to have a successful year. Instead of career, I'd say successful year. Given that Tom Brady, after his first season in the NFL, he's had significant passer ratings, about 80 every single year, 80 or above. So he's pretty consistent in terms of performing well. And again, the question was out of Bridgewater, Mariota, and all those quarterbacks. If I had to start a fantasy football team, I'd make Tom Brady as my starter for this year, because he's been successful before. He's won five rings, right? Mm-hmm. And he knows what it takes to win. He knows what it takes to win. He'll bring that culture from the Patriots to Tampa Bay. He has a couple pieces that he wanted. He has Gronk coming with him, right? And I feel that Tampa Bay, they already have okay talent. So with him going there, it just gives them an extra boost. I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl or anything, but I think they'll have a decent regular season, maybe win a playoff game or so. But I think out of all those quarterbacks you mentioned, the highest probability out of all those quarterbacks would be Tom Brady of being successful this year. So that's what I would say.
My only thing is, what has he got left? does he want to win another Super Bowl? Does he want to prove that, he's better than Belichick in a way and win his own Super Bowl? I have to see his drive, because if he plays and he doesn't really care and he doesn't really want to win at another Super Bowl, it's going to be very awkward in Tampa Bay, because it'll be like last season with the Patriots, just like an average year. So I'd have to see what he's got left. He looked really bad in that playoff game last year against the Titans.
Yeah, and we've been watching Patriots all these years, and we're expecting that elite talent every single time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But we don't notice when he's average, we think he's terrible. But that's still pretty good in the NFL. He's better than many quarterbacks still. So I think he's still better than all those quarterbacks you mentioned. He's going to have a greater season than all those quarterbacks because he understands the game still. His arm may not be strong enough, but he's still football smart, football savvy. And I think he's going to be able to adapt the best out of all those quarterbacks.
Okay. Caleb?
All right. I might be a little biased because I am an Eagles fan, but I chose Nick Foles as potentially one of the best, changes of the guard. I think this is good for the Bears, if anything. I don't know if you guys know, I'll put this out to the group, but have you guys heard who's starting versus Trubisky or Foles? I looked it up, and with Corona, there's not physicals or things like that. So I wasn't able to find a resource that said who was starting. Have you guys heard anything about that, or they duking? It sounds like they're duking it out. Okay, that's what I thought. I was making sure because I wanted. So far as I know, and so what I've researched, there's no clear number one. It sounds like Trubisky is, and I'll talk if that's the case. If that's the case, I think they have one of the best quarterback backups in history. The Bears, I mean, it's pretty. You got to give it. He won the Super Bowl 2017 as a backup. So I think if he's in that position, he's getting paid $24 million to do it, which leads to the question: maybe he is starting because they're paying him $24 million, and they gave away a 4th-round pick for him. That being said, I think this is a great combo with the Bears specifically. I know it was kind of lackluster at the Jags, and as an Eagles fan, I wish Foles to hope he has a successful post-Philadelphia career. And what I say is, I think there's always going to be a special magic with the Eagles. I mean, I feel it as an Eagles fan. But that being said, I think he's a good combo with the Bears for a few reasons. One is he's worked with Matt Nagy before. He was a coach with the Eagles offensive quality control in 2012 when the Eagles drafted Foles, so he was there, as well as worked with Andy Reid, who Foles did as well. John DeFilippo was the QB coach during the Eagles Super Bowl run, and with Foles there, and now he's with the Bears. So there's a lot of offensively good combos and experience with people that he knows, and even Nagy was saying that he knows the offense really well. I don't know if I think one of the conversations people were having with the Jags was that there's a learning curve. And I don't think it was beyond Foles, but with Minshew coming on the scene, I think, it's better for Foles to get some money, go somewhere else that fits him a little better. So I think if anything, it'll be interesting to see how the number 1, number 2 with Trubisky turns out. But if Trubisky doesn't opt out, which after a few years, some people are saying maybe he wasn't, they picked him before he was number 2 in the year he was drafted, when a couple picks later, Mahomes was picked and Watson was picked, and they're already clearly showing returns. That if they get Foles, they have a good team around them. Trey Burton was on the Eagles tight end in the Super Bowl, and now he's on the Bears, so there's that's part of the Philly special right there. Got a strong defense on the Bears, skilled players around him. So all this in conjunction with one another may make the Bears a threat if Foles becomes a starter or does play in the upcoming season. That I'm biased, but those are my thoughts.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't heard mentioning those coaches that have ties to him. That's very interesting. But I think the key with any quarterback having success is time. So like you said with the Jaguars, how much time did he have to spend with them and learn their playbook? 6 months, not even. So he needs to spend some time. He spent some time with the Chiefs. And then there was one season that he played and he had 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Then he went to the Eagles, spent some time, and then he gets put in and wins the Super Bowl. So, you need to give him time behind Trubisky or just on a team in general for 2 years and then maybe put him in or something.
Yeah, and he's 31. He could play definitely for many more years down the line, if he sticks to the Bears specifically, who knows what the future for I think if anything, this is good for the Bears to have both those guys. Because if Trubisky doesn't plan out, then you got Foles, who I think is a good backup. Or the other way around, and you have Foles, and see how far you go with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. John, do you have to go?
You could finish yours,
Okay.
and then I'll go.
My pick, and you guys know, I love Teddy Bridgewater. Love him. So he went to the Carolina Panthers. They have Christian McCaffrey behind him. They have a new coach, new swag. They addressed the wide receivers. They did get Robbie Anderson from the Jets to pair up with DJ Moore. He's got some targets to throw to. But I just like him overall. It's just a great quarterback, a great guy. For him to spend all that time with the Saints, I think that is going to increase his career, tenfold. I mean, he's going to be able to play for another 10 to 12 years just by sitting behind Drew Brees and seeing how it works with him and his regimen and how he preps. I mean, I think that is going to go a long way with Bridgewater, and that's why I picked him. And you can see that with Jameis Winston going to the Saints for like 1 year, $1 million. It's an investment because you're going to go and have a year under Drew Brees to learn how he preps, learn how he, all his tricks and tips. He's going to be right by your side. And Bridgewater was there for about 3 or 4 years maybe. So I think that's going to go a long way. And he did come in for 6 games for Brees and didn't lose, so he's a winner. He went 6-0.
He's good.
And
yeah,
and he doesn't, he's not going to be the quarterback that'll throw, 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, but he's going to work as hard as he can, do whatever he needs to do to get the win in the end. And with the Panthers offense, they have a lot of weapons that he can rely on, so that he doesn't need to throw 400 yards to win the game. But overall, I've loved Bridgewater since he was on the Vikings, and it's just I hope that it pans out with him. Their new coach from Baylor, I know nothing from him besides the fact that he basically took the Baylor from like nothing from their scandal to winning a bowl game. So if he can do that with the Panthers and bring them back to the Super Bowl, that would be great. But I don't know. He's the big question mark of the day. But I really like Bridgewater. Yeah.
That's a good pick.
Yeah.
I respect it.
I like Bridgewater. He came back strong from his injury, and he did make the playoffs with the Vikings. But my only concern is that, as you said, he's not going to throw 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. And this is a passing league. And I mean, the Panthers don't really have a good defense. Their run defense is second worst in the league. They just lost Kuechly, and they just lost their top cornerback, James Bradbury. So that's what I'm concerned about. When he was on the Vikings, they had a great defense. Then when he was on the Saints last year and they won 4 or 5 games in a row or whatever, the defense on the Saints was really good. They held everybody to below like 15 points. I don't think the Panthers can do that. So that's my concern.
Yeah, that's a valid point. He may have to throw for like 400 yards a couple games just to stay in the game because his defense lets up so many points.
Yeah.
So, no, I get that.
And as a final note, too, just on the topic, that I feel like there are so many new quarterbacks on the scene that are trying to prove themselves as franchise quarterbacks. I think for years you had the classics like Roethlisberger, Rivers, Rodgers is still around, Brady's still around, but there's been so many new potential franchise quarterbacks, and then good quarterbacks like Bridgewater who are now trying to like solidify themselves as starters for years to come, that I think you're going to see a lot of interesting rivalries play out between all these new draft picks, these all new changing of the guard. So it'll be interesting to see how his career plays out.
Yeah, it is amazing. Like 4 or 5 years ago, like we were all like, oh wow, all these quarterbacks have been with their teams for so long. We know what to expect. But now, like going into this year, I mean, I think more than half the league doesn't know who their franchise guy is. Like, is Dak the
Yeah.
franchise guy? Is Wentz the franchise guy? Or is it Hurts? Like all the teams that he's just drafted quarterbacks. Like, is Daniel Jones the right guy? Like no, like literally more than half the league doesn't know if they have their franchise guy right now.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment down below your thoughts, and we will see you guys in the next Dorm Debate podcast.